Now, back to Matt Patrick and your morning news.
KTRH News Time is 6:47. While Dr. Goosey was making me see better, you were talking to superstars.
I certainly was. I was talking to Jay Leno because on Saturday, Matt, he's going to be in Houston headlining a fundraiser for the group Children at Risk. It's quite a huge gala, and I got a chance to catch up with the host of The Tonight Show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this will be fun. It's a good charity. It's a good event.
It is a great event. We want to talk about that in just a moment, but I've got to ask you because politics seems to rotate around much of what we discuss here on this show. You've been through many presidential races, not competing, but how does the GOP pool of candidates measure up this time around?
Well, I don't. Well, it's you get the government you deserve. That's what I always say. I have a hard time figuring it out on both sides. I mean, I'm not coming on as representing one side or the other, but I didn't realize birth control was such a huge problem. This is amazing to me. Well, there's no food. The country's broke. Hey, wait a minute. Stop using that condom. So I don't. All of a sudden, the issues that didn't seem to be, I thought were resolved 40 years ago, seem to be like a huge deal now. So I don't know.
Well, and I guess many of us thought the economy would be the centerpiece, but
that's what I thought.
We've kind of moved over. How does the economy affect humor and how you're able to get your message across?
Well, I mean, when times are rough, it's actually pretty good for comedy. You know, a lot of the great comedians came out of the Depression because people want to laugh, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, I do see something now which is a little unusual, and there's a lot of mean comedy now. I mean, where it's sort of based on just ripping somebody apart or tearing somebody down as opposed to just kind of being funny and doing jokes. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, the jokes that got quoted on the news and on TV were always the funniest ones. Mm-hmm. Now it seems to be the ones that are the most caustic or attack either Obama or Romney or whatever it might be, as opposed to just being out and out kind of funny. But that's not a huge difference, but it's just something I noticed.
Does it have anything to do, Jay, with the fact that we are just on all the time? I mean, with social media, with our phones, we're connected 24/7.
Well, if you miss the news for a day, you miss everything. You miss the news for a year, you don't miss anything. You come back, it's the exact same stories. Mm-hmm. It just goes over and over and over again. I mean, that's the one thing about doing this for a long time. You realize nothing really changes. I mean, you can take any speech from the 70s through the 80s. We've got to be more energy dependent. It's the same thing. It just goes around and around in a big loop.
Well, he's kind of right to a certain degree.
He's got a lot of good points there. And, coming up, Jay's going to talk about the risks that way too many kids have to face every single day. Jay, you're coming here to Houston to talk basically with this program, Children at Risk, and it's centered to end the trafficking and exploitation of children.
Right.
Now, some might say we never see an end to this either. It's just such a hard issue to deal with and tackle on a regular basis.
Well, there's the interesting thing about social media and all this stuff is it makes you realize this has always been going on. I mean, when I was a kid, the papers just didn't print these stories. They would say a child has disappeared or something of that nature. I think the thing that really changed news that I could put a definite finger on would be like the Rodney King situation, where the paper had reported that this guy was speeding at 120 miles an hour in a Hyundai with 9 people in it or something, and that was it. And then a guy showed up who filmed it, and we saw what actually happened. And it was the first time the news had ever gone directly from when it happened onto the Internet without being filtered through TV or an editor or somebody going, oh, this is too volatile, that type of thing. I mean, right now, you just get all the raw facts. When I was a kid, people would always say, never talk to strangers. And I would say, why? I never knew anybody disappeared. I never heard about that. They just didn't publicize it for whatever reason. Or if they did, it was a one-day story. It wasn't good news. It was depressing. We don't want to know that. Whereas now, the good thing is you find out about all this stuff. The bad news is you find out about all this stuff. And that's, I think, sort of the difference. I mean, if there's no news happening, there's a bus accident in Miami, Florida, and I'm in Alaska, this has ruined my day.
That's true. But, Jay, how did you get so involved in wanting to participate in something like this? It's really important to Houston, this 6th annual Children at Risk
Gala. It's not a matter of being so involved. It's a matter of they ask you and you come. I mean, I'm not doing any great service here. I like to tell jokes, and it's fun. And they go, hey, listen, if you tell some jokes, it'll raise some money for this, and it'll be a good cause. Fine. That seems like a fair trade-off. And then people like you say, Jay, you're doing so much. Believe me, I'm not doing anything. These people that are involved are down in the street and, helping these kids and going out there and feeding them and giving them shelter and protect. They do all the work. I mean, it's very nice that people thank you, but it makes you feel a little guilty. Like, I'm not if I can shine some light on those folks, that's really nice. But I'm not really doing anything other than just telling some jokes.
Was he yelling at you?
No, but he gets to come, though, and I think a lot of people are going to come because Jay Leno is going to be there. So while he is being very self-effacing, we're really thrilled he's going to be there. It's the 6th annual Children at Risk Gala. It is this Saturday at the Bayou Center, 6 p.m. You can have a VIP reception, an exclusive live auction, and even meet and greet with Jay Leno. Tickets are still available.